live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A pleasant evening and a very warm welcome to the National News of Rupavahini on Channel I. I'm Dalanjali and joining me is Charita Minipurarachi. And these are the top stories which have made headlines for tonight. Former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa returns to the island. The Paris Club is ready to commence the credit relief program for Sri Lanka. The health, petroleum and electricity is declared as essential services once again. The mobile and fixed telephone charges are to be increased by 20%. Signs of the price of bread going up again. The Sri Lanka Police commemorates its 156th anniversary. A new alliance of 10 parties tomorrow. The Dallas faction forms Independent National Council. The Artemis rocket to begin its space journey today. Now for those and other stories in detail. The former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has returned to the island last night after a 50-day stay abroad.
He has arrived in an aircraft SQ-468 of the Singapore Airlines. Stringent current security has been enforced on behalf of the former president. People had been engaged in protest continuously over the economic crisis in the country, intensified during the regime of Gotabaya Rajapaksa. They had demanded the resignation of Rajapaksa from the post of president. The agitations had reached climax on the 9th of July this year when protesters stormed President's house, Presidential Secretariat and the temple trees. A communique was issued at the instant stating that Gotabaya Rajapaksa would resign in order to avoid a conflict between agitators and the security divisions. Later on the 13th of July, Gotabaya Rajapaksa had left the former Maldives in an aircraft of the Sri Lankan Air Force. Therefore, he had moved into Singapore. The letter of resignation of Gotabaya Rajapaksa was delivered from Singapore to the Speaker of the Sri Lankan Parliament. The former president, after staying several days in Singapore, arrived in Thailand on the 11th of this month. Permission has been granted on diplomatic level for Gotabaya Rajapaksa to remain in Thailand for a period of 90 days. It was under such circumstances that Sri Lankan Human Rights Commission had also informed President Ranil Wickremesinghe to create the necessary environment for the return of Gotabaya Rajapaksa to the country. Several political parties as well as have requested the president to grant necessary protection for the former president to come back to the motherland. The former president, along with Ms. Ayoma Rajapaksa, have returned last night from Katunayake International Airport. Several MPs and ministers representing Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna were at the airport to receive the former president, who had brought to his Colombo residence under strong security escort around 12:50 a.m. today. Large groups, including political leaders, were seen arriving to meet former president at his residence since this morning. Among those were the present former president Mahinda Rajapaksa. Security precautions have also strengthened around the residence of Gotabaya Rajapaksa. And meanwhile, a gazette notification has been released once again declaring all services pertaining to electricity, petroleum production and fuel supply and distribution as well as health as essential services required for the maintenance of normal public life.
The relevant notification has been issued by President Ranil Wickremesinghe to be implemented with effect from today. The notification has been released according to the powers vested upon the President under the second clause of the Public Services Act No. 61 of 1979. It has been issued according to a request with recommendations for the making of health, petroleum and electricity as essential services. The telephone companies have decided to increase all mobile and fixed telephone charges. In addition, decision has also been taken to increase broadband charges and television services viewed via financial payments. All revised charges have been subjected to the approval of the Telecommunication Regulatory Commission. The licensed telecommunications service supply companies say new charges will come into effect from the 5th of this month. The mobile and fixed telephone charges as well as broadband charges are scheduled to be increased by 20%. Television services watched by using financial payments are also expected to increase by 20%.
The continuous increases of the dollar value as well as continuous increases in the overall cost in maintenance have compelled to increase the charges. The value-added tax, VAT, percentage on the relevant services are also scheduled to be increased to 15% on the 5th of this month. Further details could be obtained by entering the website of the Sri Lanka Telecommunication Regulatory Commission, www.trc.gov.lk. The Sri Lanka Restaurant Owners Association says as a result of the shortage of wheat flour produced in the country, they have been compelled to purchase 50 kilos of wheat flour for 20,000 rupees. The president of the association informs that therefore the price of a loaf of bread will have to be increased to 300 rupees.
Members of the Paris Club in a communique says they are ready to get underway the credit relief program on Sri Lanka. The Paris Club has reiterated its willingness to coordinate its activities with the official bilateral creditors who are not members of the club in the task of timely and appropriate provision of finances as well as to guarantee financial stability. The report further points out that the Paris Club has acknowledged the official level agreement for a 48-month plan signed between the Sri Lanka government and the officials of the International Monetary Fund. The pact includes several important measures for economic stability as well as a sustainable maintenance of state's debt. The agreement has also established the abilities of bilateral creditors to act in a justifiable manner as proposed.
Now, the Sri Lanka Red Cross Society and the Uber Sri Lanka company have enlightened Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena on their latest joint project at the Parliament complex recently. The Prime Minister has extended thanks to the SLRCS and the Uber Sri Lanka company for the $200,000 grant scheduled to be extended on behalf of the Sri Lankan community affected by the economic crisis. The funds are scheduled to be utilized for the island-wide distribution of foods and medicine. The meeting was attended by General Manager and Global Executive of the Uber company on distribution in the Asia-Pacific region, Zaskia Dijong, and President of the Sri Lanka Red Cross Society, Jagat Abhay Singha. Now, the 156th anniversary of the Sri Lanka Police falls today.
3rd of September 1886 is considered as the day of commencement of the police service in the island, when Sir G.W.R. Campbell assumed duties as the head of police. By the year 1806, the English nationals had passed an ordinance for police duties outside the city of Colombo. By the year 1933, a police service was established which had maintained through state expenditure. During that period, the population of the city was around 39,000. In order to cater the needs of the population, a police group comprised of 165 officials was on duty. It was in the year 1843 that the governor of Ceylon had been entrusted the authority to set up a police station in any town in the country. There were 48 police stations set up in the country by the year 1863. The first police chief of Sri Lankan origin was Richard Aluvihare, who had assumed duties as the 11th head of police force in the year 1947. Upon receiving independence in 1948, numerous duties had been introduced to increase the number of police stations in relation to the changes that had taken place. The police force had been bravely directing all anti-government agitations and rebellions. Police stations in the island had become the initial targets in the anti-government agitation that occurred in the year 1971. On that occasion, a police devised without any military characteristics was compelled to engage in an armed rebellion. The outlook had become even more intense when the police force confronted similar clashes during the period of conflict against the Tiger organizations. Similar incidents have been observed in recent struggles, as well as Sri Lanka was equipped with 438 police stations by the year 2016. By today, the number has been increased to 605. The Sri Lanka Police Service of today is consisted of 86,698 officials. In addition, the number of officials in the Police Special Task Force has exceeded 8,300. The task entrusted upon the Sri Lankan police at present includes controlling and investigating of crimes, controlling of narcotics, traffic management and road safety, issuance of clearance reports and engaging in legal services. 3,039 police personnel have so far laid down their lives in the performance of duties. Out of this number, nearly 2,600 had lost their lives while confronting terrorist activities. The number of officials disabled in action is 1,571. 441 officials had died while engaging in police duties. The Sri Lankans identifies the police as one of the institutions which come under the dissemination of justice. Citizens feel the need of police assistance as long as the society remains unlawful and engages in wrongdoings. Buddhist religious observances in connection with the 156th Police Day was held at the Gangarama Vihara in Hunupitiya this morning. IGP C.D. Vikramaratne has attended. The event was held under the guidance of Venerable Kirinde Asajithera of the Gangarama Vihara. The Hindu religious performances have been taken place at the Sri Kadureshan Kovil in Bambalapitiya. The St. Mary's Church in Bambalapitiya has conducted Christian religious observances. The Islamic religious duties were held at the Davatagaha Mosque in Colombo 7.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the supremacy of the law could not be secured with the absence of the police and an independent judiciary. Both institutions should be protected. The President has made these observations participating in a ceremony held in connection with the 156th Police Day at the Police Field Office headquarters in Bambalapitiya this evening.
Sri Lanka Police might not be critical.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe, upon arrival at the premises, was accorded a guard of honor. After the performance of several events, the police Western music band display and an official dogs exhibition were conducted. People's representatives from many countries as well as officials of the Interpol have also attended this event. Now, the 75th anniversary ceremony of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party was held at the auditorium of the Youth Services Council in Maharagama yesterday.
The event was presided over by President of the party and former President Maithripala Sirisena. Prior to the commencement of the ceremony, a meeting of the SLFP All Ceylon Committee has taken place. General Secretary of the All Ceylon Committee has taken place and General Secretary of the party, Parliamentarian Dasiri Jayasekara, on the occasion has submitted proposals on the new constitutional revision of the SLFP. Thereafter, Party President Maithripala Sirisena has inquired on the opinion of the All Ceylon Committee regarding the proposals. A significant development has been that many SLFP parliamentarians who had protested over the new constitutional revisions of the 1st of this month not expressing any objections at yesterday's meeting. A new alliance with the unity of the independent parties is scheduled to be formed tomorrow. The maiden conference of the alliance is scheduled to take place at the National Youth Services Council premises in Maharagama tomorrow afternoon. Parliamentarian and leader of the National Freedom Front, Vimal Viravansha, is the head of the alliance. A special discussion between the leaders of the 10 independent parties was held at the Communist Party headquarters today. MP Udegam Manpila said that they were striving to find answers to the problems of the common masses and staying in a position and criticizing the government. If the government does not respond to their request, they have to join the people and to introduce a political culture of the new opposition. The parliamentarian added that they have unleashed their program in a novel format today. Udegam Manpila also said that leader of the alliance is Vimal Viravansha. The other positions and the alliance was declared tomorrow. He also said that they will go afternoon and after individuals anymore. They will not engage engage in politics based on individuals, they are politics based on a program. The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce says positive signs already emerged due to the measures taken by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka to stabilize the economy. Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce, Duminda Hulangamua, has expressed his observations to the media today.
Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce, Duminda Hulangamua, said that handing over of money by the IMF gives a signal to the international. It gives the impression that Sri Lanka is able to repay its debt. He added that the country would be able to use the capital expenditure. The additional funds could also be released to the market. The Vice President also said that Central Bank Governor has taken appropriate measures to bring the country to a level of setting off the expenses with an income. Sri Lanka was unable to go forward solely through reducing imports and using export revenue. That was why the dollar rate, which was at 200, had increased to 360. Now conditions are being formed for the settling of the dollar value. Sri Lanka would be able to maintain the dollar rate gradually. Duminda Hulangamua further said that whether we liked it or not, the interest rate has gone up to 30 or 32%. High dollar value and high interest rates indicate an economic decline. Now, the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says they are not accepting portfolios with the objective of receiving grants and privileges.
He has made these remarks addressing a public meeting in Acme Manor today. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that many are asking them why they have not accepted the post of Prime Minister and why they have not taken ministerial portfolios in the government. He further said that it is now extremely clear to the people that they are not prepared to engage in a deal with the President and 225 MPs. Sajith Premadasa also said that they do not want to fill their pockets with giving burden to a population of 22 million. They are not prepared to a game like gambling and betray the masses. He further said that a group of motivated by the feelings of fear and shame, they are not willing to bring down the people who had made so much commitments on behalf of the country.
Now, the Maha Kumbhabhisheka Mangalaya was conducted after a lapse of 28 years at the Jnanavairar Kovil located in Vasavilan in Jaffna. A large number of devotees were present at the ceremony conducted in the land liberated by the security forces. The Jnanavairar Kovil was in a high security zone of the army for the past 28 years. A request has been made after the war to hand back the premises where the Kovil is located to the people. The army, acceding to the request, had freed the area for the veneration of the devotees in the year 2018. The Kovil Administrative Committee, upon completion of the development activities of the Kovil, have organized the Kumbhabhisheka ceremony. That's all we have from home. Stay tuned for international stories coming up next.
Terima Kotumi Pantan.
Welcome back. On foreign news, the US Space Agency will attempt once again in the coming hours to launch its most powerful rocket ever. NASA was thwarted by a mix of technical and weather woes when it tried to get the Artemis 1 moon mission off Earth on Monday, but the mood remains positive at Florida's Kennedy Space Center. Today's attempt to dispatch the Space Launch System rocket has been scheduled for the start of a 2-hour window that begins at 15 minutes past 2 local time.
An explosion at a mosque in the city of Hati, the western Afghanistan, killed a high-profile pro-Taliban scholar as well as more than dozens of civilians. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. Spokesman for the governor of the Hart province said that 18 people were martyred in the incidents of 23 others were wounded. The blasts were off in the Gazara mosque during the Friday afternoon prayers. Hart's police said Mujibur Rahman Ansar with some of his guards and civilians have been killed on their way to the mosque. They further said that one of the suicide bombers filled himself up while kissing his hands. Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid said preparations have been made behind the bombing would be punished.
Now, the Russia gas pipeline to Germany will not reopen as planned today. Staff agency energy firm Gazprom has said the firm said it had found an oil leak in the turbine on the Nord Stream 1 pipeline, meaning it would be closed indefinitely. The pipeline has been shut down for the past 3 days for what Gazprom described as maintenance work. It comes amid growing fears that families in the EU will not be able to afford the cost of heating this winter. Energy prices have soared since Russia invaded Ukraine, and scarce supplies could push up the cost even further. Europe is attempting to wean itself off Russian energy in an effort to reduce Moscow's ability to finance the war, but the transition may not come quickly enough. Russia denies using energy supplies as an economic weapon in retaliation for Western sanctions imposed following Russia's invasion. It has blamed the sanctions for holding up routine maintenance of Nord Stream 1, but the EU says this is a pretext. Germany's network regulator said the country was now better prepared for Russian gas supplies to cease, but it urged citizens and companies to cut consumption.
Northern California wildfires destroyed multiple homes and forces as many as 7,500 residents to leave immediately. A fast-moving fire in Northern California has destroyed multiple homes, injured several people, and forced thousands of residents to leave immediately, jamming roadways at Strait of the Sweethearting Labor Day weekend. Officials said that mill fire started on the property of Roseburg Forest Products, a lumber mill north of the town of Weed. It quickly burned through homes in a nearby neighborhood on Lincoln Heights and prompted evacuation orders for thousands of people. They also said that the residents are still evacuating and the blaze continues to rapidly spread amidst 58 kilometers per hour winds. The media reported that more resources have been requested to aid at least 200 firefighters battling the blaze on the ground or from air.
Terima kasih, Pantan.
Now, welcome back. On sports news, we have international news and some news to be happy about. Sri Lanka becoming victorious. Now, the Asian Netball Championship tournament is being underway in Singapore, and in the first match itself, Sri Lanka became victorious, beating India.
Sri Lanka is competing in the year's tournament as current Asia's championship. The Sri Lankan players have shown their talents from the commencement of the game. Accordingly, at the end of the first half, the Sri Lankan team was leading 58-3. In the second half, the team added 44 points to the tally. 1 point, the final result, with the Sri Lankan team winning the match 202-14.
We got Sri Lanka trying to put in this final goal in 5 seconds, and they make it. That is the end of the second game of the Asian Netball Championship.
Another match between Singapore and Japan also took place today. The first half results was in favour of Singapore, 49-2. The Singapore team has won the match 103-3.
Crowd counting down, asking for the first shot to go in, and it is 103-3. What an extraordinary match.
The match between Malaysia and Brunei teams has ended, giving Malaysia a 78-22 lead in the final half, as well as Malaysia was leading 41-11.
Now, the South Asian Under-17 soccer tournaments will get away from next Monday onward, and we have 6 countries from the South Asian region participating in these matches.
The competition countries are the host Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan and the Maldives. Sri Lanka, the Maldives and the Bangladesh are in the A category, and India, Nepal and Bhutan are in the B category. The inauguration encounter between Bhutan and India is scheduled to commence at 3 p.m. on Monday. Sri Lanka's first engagement will be Bangladesh team also on Monday at 8 p.m. The match between Sri Lanka and the Maldives will take place on the 9th. The finals will be worked off on the 14th. The Zipatana College Colombo has been qualified for the inter-school all-Ceylon knockout rugby tournaments. A quarter-final match played at the Havlo grounds yesterday. Zipatana beat St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia 29-13. The second quarter between Wesley College and St. Joseph's College Colombo will be played tomorrow. The Zimbabwe team won an international one-day match against Australia in Australia today. The third ODI between the two countries has ended, giving a 3-wicket victory to the visitors, and the Sri Lankan Australian team were all out for 141 runs in 31 overs. The highest scorer was David Warner, who hit 94. Ryan Burl took 5 wickets for 10 runs. The Zimbabwe team has scored the required 142 runs, losing 7 wickets within 39 overs. Captain Regis Chakubava has scored 37 runs.
And that's all the news we have for tonight. Do join us tomorrow at 8:50 p.m. for the very latest on ChannelEye. I'm Delanjali, together with Shaita, signing off. Good night.
Good night.
பச்சவாழத்தண்டு